Hello, guys and girls. My name is Sergeant Brianna Dew with the 1st Cavalry Division Band, and I am a co-host.
And I am Samantha Farlow with the Garrison Public Affairs Office, another co-host.
And I am Captain Jessica Lopez with 3 Corps Public Affairs, Community Outreach Manager.
And this is Fort Hood's Great Big Podcast. Okay, so today with us, we have the Killeen Mayor Jose Segarra. Sir, thank you so much for being on the show with us today.
It's a pleasure. I always enjoy coming out here to Fort Hood.
Yeah.
So thank you for having me.
Of course. So, first things first, we have to talk about you just being the mayor. That's amazing, honestly. So cool. What a fun job.
I don't know if it's fun, but yeah, I do enjoy it. There is a lot of activity, so
Yes.
you'll never get bored.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So you've been mayor for 6 years now, and correct?
6
You're
years
close?
will be in May.
Okay.
So May will be the end of my term because we get termed out. You can
Right.
only do 6. So
Oh, wow. Okay.
yeah.
That's
So
interesting.
you really liked Killeen then.
Yeah.
You were here for the long haul.
Yeah, when I got out, because the reason I got here, how I moved to Killeen was, obviously through the military. I came
Right.
from Korea. Fort Hood was my duty assignment, so I was on 1st Cav, 27 Main Support Battalion, and that was back in 1990.
Wow.
Whoa.
1990.
I wasn't even born yet.
Neither was I.
Make me feel old, right?
Oops.
But yeah, I got out. I went to the Gulf War 91. And then in 92, the military, they started doing some cutbacks. And they said, anybody want to volunteer? We'll get you some money if you want to get out. And so I raised my hand
Yep.
after 10 years in the military because
Oh,
I
my
joined in
goodness.
1982. I grew up in the south side of Chicago.
Okay. Wow.
And I enjoyed it. The military was really good for me because in those 10 years, I got to do a lot of things. I got to travel a lot. I was stationed in Europe and Germany.
You got all the good places.
Yeah, no, it is. At one time, I got 6 months. I spent 6 months in Honduras. And guess what? I speak Spanish. So
Wow.
that was paradise for me.
So cool.
Yeah, so I enjoyed it. And, I got stationed where else? Georgia, Fort Leonard Wood was my home base. And another cushy assignment that I got, not too many people used to get this one, but I got stationed at the Presidio in San Francisco.
Wow.
So I had a barracks room there. And when I looked out my window of my barracks room, guess what I saw? Alcatraz Island.
Whoa.
That's
Beautiful.
That is cool.
And
Yeah.
for morning run for PT, we would run across the Golden Gate Bridge.
Oh my goodness.
So
Whoa.
That's amazing.
What did you do to get that?
I don't know what I did, but
That's crazy.
I think I re-enlisted because in Germany, I did my 4 years and they said, I don't know if I got to re-enlist. Well, you can pick your assignment.
Oh,
And
there you go.
Wow.
I didn't know what to expect, but it was good. It was a real good assignment there. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the military. And then I got out here in 1992 and I was debating. I said, I don't know if I'm going to make Killeen my home because
Yeah.
I grew up in a big city and lived in the Bay Area. And
Right.
I think about that. I say, I should have bought a house back then. Can you imagine
Yeah.
home price? It'd be
Hindsight,
$2 million.
2020.
Back then, I remember $200,000 for a house. And it's
Yeah.
like, wow. But I couldn't figure it out. And I said, I'm going to think about it. So I always kid around. I say, 30 years later, I'm still thinking whether I'm going to stay in Killeen or not. Yes. I can't even say I'm from Chicago no more because it's
Wow.
like 30 years is the
Yeah.
most I've lived in a place. So
Wow.
I am a Killeen-nite now.
That's amazing.
You just couldn't stay away from the Cav.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it. And so I enjoy it. I enjoy the atmosphere here, the community, and love, what I'm doing today. I enjoy hanging out with soldiers, so I get to benefit a lot with a lot of the things that the soldiers do, but I don't have to do that field duty or, sleep in a pup tent.
Yeah.
What great things. It was 2 years ago, I as a mayor, they invited us, they do these things where we go to NTC.
Right.
And so I flew out to NTC and they had all the leaderships of the community there. And guess what? We stood in a hotel. We flew around in a helicopter. I said, this is the way to go to NTC. I do not remember NTC like this when I went here. So But yeah, I really enjoy it. We really appreciate the soldiers and what they do, and we have such a tremendous connection. And when I got here in 1990, believe it or not, there was like 60,000 was the population of Killeen.
Wow.
60,000.
Of just Killeen. Now
Just
the
Killeen.
installation has like 90,000.
Yeah, well, now Killeen is 153 with the
My
last census that
goodness.
just came out.
What?
And so it's growing. And a
Wow.
lot of that is just people like myself, a lot of military that when
Yeah.
they do their time, they make Killeen their home. And my side business, the one that kind of pays for me doing this mayor job, is real estate. And so it's funny because I get people where they're getting ready to retire or leave the area, and we end up a lot of times selling their house, and then they go somewhere else, only for a few months later, a couple of years later, call me, Jose, I'm coming back to Killeen. So I was like, yeah, you see, it kind of grows on you. It's a great community. It is.
Yeah. Could you tell us a little bit from your point of view, just kind of how the community has evolved over the years?
Oh, it's evolved tremendously. Like I say, 60,000. I remember here is, we all love to eat. And
Yes.
so I remember when I got here, the only place to eat was the Burger King on Fort Hood
Oh,
and Las Casas in Temple. That's about it.
wow.
And the first franchise restaurant they opened in Killeen was the Red Lobster there on Tremere.
Mm.
It's still there.
Oh.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot of restaurants go up and close, but you can see now the people in Killeen, we would have to drive to Temple to eat at a restaurant.
Yeah.
And that's how small it was.
That's
Wow. I
Yeah.
can't even imagine.
I
that at
know.
all.
Like now everywhere you go, there's always a restaurant.
Yeah.
Everywhere you look.
No, and the good part is I've seen all that grow. I remember driving down 190 and all there was hills, nothing but green trees
Yeah.
and stuff like that. Even
Wow.
where the Home Depot, I remember that used to be a little mountain. They flattened it to build that and
Wow.
the Target when they were here, and all that. So there's a lot of growth. We've gotten that. The biggest thing I think that has helped when they had the Gulf War in 1991.
Right.
I remember people used to picket at our mall, and the reason that they were picketing was because Fort Hood has kind of always had two divisions, and I think at that time they had the 4th ID, and they were getting ready to move. So the people picketing were having these signs that says "Save the Fort." Save the fort, because they didn't want the 4th ID to leave because they said, we're not going to have anything. And then they had the war. And back then, anytime there was any type of troop movement around the area, what would happen is the families of the soldiers that were here would go home.
Wow.
They, because there was really nothing for
Yeah.
them to do. And so if my husband, my spouse is overseas, I'm just going to go home.
Yeah.
And so it was a ghost town every time we had a deployment. And so the community leaders got together back then and they wanted to change that. They said, we got to bring more things here. We got to help our families, especially our military families, especially the kids and stuff like that. So over the years, that's the great thing. Now we've had so much troop movement. I know most of our soldiers are here right now, but over the past several years, a lot of our soldiers have been overseas. And yet this community has grown. You don't see the effects when soldiers leave anymore. The families do stay here. They have kids in the school. They have, more entertainment. We're always looking for more entertainment, but things
Yeah.
to do. And so it's quite a change. It's evolved over the years in that aspect of it. So
Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah. Could you, so since there is so much, keeping people here now and all of that, do you see things to look forward to with the future, new events that we have coming up or anything changing that is going to be for things to people to look forward to in the future?
Well, we're always, looking for opportunities, thanks to Fort Hood, just a few examples, we have a Texas A&M University, Central Texas,
Yes.
and we hope to see that grow and continue to grow. And what we're looking to do out there is like a research park. So they take out more and more projects out there. They have one a few years ago. It was so cool because they brought this microscope, and this microscope was a few $1 million.
Wow.
Believe that, just a microscope. And I spoke to the professor out there that was ahead of this research project. And what he was doing was he was doing paint that you can paint on houses that reflects solar energy.
Whoa.
And it's like, wow, that would be so cool. If
Yeah.
so, that was what they were doing. They were trying to create a paint that absorbs the sunlight. And instead of putting solar panels on your house, you just paint it and it creates that.
Wow.
So those are
That's
just
nifty.
one of the many things. I know right now we're working on cybersecurity out there and making that a program. And I know that's
Yeah.
big. But I know that ever since we spoke about, how Killeen has evolved, but we had the university. That was a partnership with Fort Hood. They helped with some of that land. I think it was over 600 acres.
Wow.
That used to be on Fort Hood, and now it's part of the city for that university. Also, the Central Texas Veterans Cemetery, that was a part of that land was donated from Fort Hood. And we have, not always a good thing, but we have one of the busiest veterans state cemetery in Texas right now.
Wow,
because of
yeah.
that. It's a beautiful cemetery, and I know that we have a lot of support from our soldiers. I go as mayor quite a few times out there for funerals, and I always see our soldiers. I saw last time I went there, they were out there and they were doing police call. I remember that police call. I say, wow, this is awesome what you guys are doing out here. So they're always taking care of that. Yeah. Our airport is another thing that's grown. It used to be over here by a golf course, and that was another partnership that we have with Fort Hood. And so it's the Killeen Fort Hood Regional Airport, and it's a shared airport, and that has grown. That continues to grow. And I know a lot of airports that size in other cities have pretty much shut down, and yet ours has grown quite a bit. And so those are great opportunities that as I go around the country, because I go and visit through mayor's conferences and stuff like that, and when they have me speak, I always talk about the partnerships that we have with Fort Hood and how, we benefit, how we're grateful for those. And I think a lot of people, as they get out, they see that too. And since they've been connected to Fort Hood, it allows them to have a better understanding of the community, what they do. And then the healthcare, that's another area that has grown. And it's quite important when you get out of the Army that, you have the healthcare and all that. And so that has grown quite a bit. We got great partnerships with our local hospitals. And
So you, obviously, in this interesting conversation we've talked so far, you have mentioned partnership quite a bit, partnership with Fort Hood especially. Could you expand on how you've seen that change over the years?
Well, it's getting stronger. I think that's it. I think that as mayor, that's one of the things I always take and I have a passion for. Every time I get an invite like this, I spend a lot of time on Fort Hood, and I think that we want to create that strong bond between our communities, not just Killeen, but all the surrounding communities. And a lot of times there's opportunities there that we don't know yet that exist. And we're always trying to do great things between us. But an example of that, when we had this winter storm, back in February. And, a lot of people did not have electricity. Because of that, we have these big water tanks at the city. And so a lot of people don't know that they pretty much get the water from the water tank. It free flows. So we have to fill these tanks up, and then they just flow out to the different businesses and houses and stuff like that. Well, when they have so many holes out there because of the pipes breaking, then it loses all that pressure and you can't get any. So there was a lot of people without water for quite a few days. And so we were trying to figure out how to get water. And then I called General White. I said, sir, I was wondering if you can help us here. And he said, how's that? I said, you guys have water buffaloes. And he's like, Mayor, I never thought about that. And it took about a day because you got to go through all that red tape. But they were able to do that. So that's a partnership that allows us to prepare. So now we have agreements also in place that if situations like that happen, those are simple things. Another thing we were talking about is, there was a lot of people that could not go or they were stuck in the winter because you pretty much needed a 4-wheel drive to get around with everything. And I said, well, who has 4-wheel drives around here? I think Fort Hood has quite a few with their Humvees. And so, driving somebody to get a milk or something. And I did that because I had a 4-wheel drive. And I said, man, I wish I had more. But so those are the things that, we always want to try to strengthen, what we can do to each other. I know we have agreements on Fort Hood with our city, like for fire. When you guys have fire out here, we get our fireman department out here to help. So those are great. Those are great opportunities for us to just continue that strong partnership that we have. And overall, what it does, it just helps, families. It just helps you realize, there's other sources out here if something happens that we can hopefully depend on. So.
Yeah, and you make a great point about how families still remain here. Yeah. There's a large population that is retired or, the soldiers' families that still reside here. But how can we as Fort Hood get our names out there? Because there's a lot of people that don't know that they can actually even come on to Fort Hood for certain events that we host, going to the visitor center. But just making sure that, that's out there, that people do know that we are here to support each other in the Killeen area. So.
No, and I think you guys do a better job than us sometimes because I come in here, man, you got a lot of people at your event. So you guys do a wonderful job in getting the word out. And, but yeah, a lot of people, we do a lot of marketing right now through social media. I think social media is the big thing right now. But, you guys have some wonderful events because you guys bring some, celebrities, I know all that, and those kind of get filled up. It's like, wow, we're up coming on Fort Hood. But
can't stay away.
Yeah, those are neat, and so hopefully that'll start again. I know, I think it was last year. This year, you guys did the 4th of July. I couldn't make it, but I always attend those, and those are great. You guys do an all-day thing. Yep. And great entertainment.
So much fun.
Yeah. So people appreciate that. And they do that. So we try to do both ways. My vision, here's my vision part. When I started as mayor, even before I did that, I said, what I want to do as mayor is I want to fix Rancier. Rancier is like a gateway to Fort Hood, right there off of Rancier.
Yes.
And I remember back then when I became mayor, General Campbell was here, and he's like, Mayor, I just heard about your vision. And I want to let you know that I support that because, their homes are like Rancier's like their backyard.
Right, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But I know that Fort Hood has done a lot to improve that gate. They've improved it quite a bit. And so it's our turn, to try to figure out a way to improve Rancier because it's a high traffic area. I know during lunchtime, a lot of the soldiers go out Rancier, and there's a lot of, it has that local culture type feel, and
a lot of
it
is.
Yeah, it is. And so when somebody from out of town comes here, they already know about all the franchise restaurants that we have off the highway. But a lot of times they don't know. I say, did you know we got a pretty good Hawaiian restaurant or what is it called, Panamanian restaurant? Mm-hmm. Or they have one now. It's El Salvador. Wow. And and then Venezuelan. So there's a kind of variety.
Absolutely.
And again, when I go out, I said this in Austin one time. It was so funny because I said, we have real culture here, not here in Austin. I say, why is that? And I said, because I've been to your Cuban restaurant here. And when it's a Cuban restaurant, the owners, I spoke to the owner, he was Caucasian. Nothing wrong with that. But guess what? And his cooks, unfortunately, sometimes it's hard to find staff right now. Yes. But I say your cooks are not Cuban either, are they? No, they're not. And I say, well, come to Killeen. When you go to a Dominican restaurant, guess what? They're from Dominican. Yeah. The Panamanian. So that's real true culture here that we have. Mm-hmm. The people from Hawaii, they're from Hawaii. Yeah. So I had fun with that. But yeah, it's very interesting, and I hope that we can do that. So the easy part is just coming up with the ideas, So everybody's, Mayor, we want that street fixed. Everybody agree. The hard part is always the financial part. Is just like, how are we going to do that? How are we going to come up with the money? So hopefully this past budget cycle, we were able to do that. We're going to raise more money for our streets and all that. We're going to do that. We're going to improve our streets. But the way the mayor works is a lot of times the things that you do during your term as mayor, you'll never see when you're mayor.
It's the future.
So it's the future. So it's like a lot of the stuff that people say, Mayor, you did such a great job. And it's like, yeah, that was the mayor like 3 or 4 mayors ago that did that. But because I'm in office, they give me the credit. So that's what happens. So I think that in a few years, you'll see the rants here improved. I had a vision of what I wanted it to look like. And, I'm like, I'm a runner. I like to run, even though I got plantar fasciitis right now. So, and I like walking. And so I said, wouldn't it be good that if we put some kind of bike paths down rants here? And soldiers, I know at one time, I don't know if they did it or not, but they were doing bike paths here on Fort Hood.
They were.
Yeah. And that would be good. You can just ride your bike in 100-degree heat.
Yeah,
definitely
like
some
it.
weight.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're working. It's come a long way, and I think we'll continue to see that growth. Great things are going to continue to happen, and that's because of people like everybody here on Fort Hood. It's people come from different parts of the country, and they make Killeen home. And so I always just challenge people to just get involved. The mayor really can't do anything, so I don't take credit for anything. I just say, if we want something to happen, we need the help of the people that live here. You have to have more than just one person to do something. And so we have a lot of great local organizations, sometimes nonprofits. I was here a couple of weeks ago, and I met a young lady who is the spouse of one of the soldiers here. And she says, we have a spouse chamber of commerce. And I'm like, wow, I didn't know that even exists. And she says, yeah, it's for military spouses who have businesses. And I said, we need to get this word out. Spouses,
Interesting.
military. So those are great organizations. A lot of times we don't even hear of, but there's so many out there that can help. One of the things that Killeen has always been, because we don't have those big factories or industries and stuff like that. And I think that's probably a good thing, even though people say, no, we need more big jobs. And I say, well, Killeen is more of a service type community, and people that get out like myself, we just want to create businesses, those of us that want to create businesses and enjoy life. And so we have a lot of those type of businesses, people that want to do decoration or staging or whatever, coaching, coach leadership. And so those are a lot of great opportunities out there, especially in today's climate where everything's at home. You just work out of the house.
So you mentioned earlier people getting involved, and we have to rely on our neighbors and whatnot, as well as some events. So you guys, the city is hosting several events that are upcoming, but the Chamber of Commerce is also hosting a recognizing our community heroes for those people who went above and beyond during COVID and during the snowstorm that you mentioned in February. So we just want to recognize those people and organizations who are being recognized for all of that.
No, I think that's great. I think that we need more of that. This is the first year they're doing that.
Yeah.
And I think it's great. We did something similar to that on the council this past year, where we recognize each member of the council gets to pick a citizen every quarter that they felt that went beyond, and we get to recognize him in front of the council chamber. But I think anything like that where we have an opportunity to just recognize so many different people that, like I say, you can't do it alone.
No,
And
definitely not.
we have people that sometimes amaze me, and it's like, we didn't know. People ask me, I didn't know. I had a young girl come to my office last month. This young girl was 8 years old, and she had written 3 books already.
Oh my
She gave me 3 books.
Oh
And
my
it was like,
goodness.
you're 8 years old, and she gave me 3 books. And then I say, what do you like to do on your free time? She says, I like to teach kids to read. And so,
That's so heartwarming.
so that's one you need to have here on your program.
Yeah.
She
That was
was
amazing.
awesome. Yeah, so there's amazing people out there, and we just gotta give them the spotlight for a month so people can see. Not really, because a lot of them, they're not doing it for the recognition. But I always tell people by people knowing who you are, what that does, it inspires others.
Oh, definitely.
And so use that as inspiration. I know I've had many in my life that have inspired me. So
Yes.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
Wow.
8 years old
I know,
already.
that's
8 years
incredible.
old.
Writing 3 books. I
3
haven't
books.
even written one.
Yeah. That's like, wow, that is amazing. It's like, man, I need to learn how to read.
Yeah.
She could probably teach you.
You can teach
yeah,
me.
she'll teach you.
I was going to be one smart lady.
Yeah.
Oh
Wow.
my goodness.
Yeah.
Yes.
So with the holidays coming up, we do have Halloween and then Veterans Day. Are there any big, large events that are happening in the community that we can get the word out to the
Well,
soldiers?
holidays is always a good time. You know, we always try to do quite a few, but I know we have our Christmas parade, and that's a good one. The Christmas parade this year, let me look at my notes so I don't mess it up. It's December 11th. December 11th. And that's always a fun one, and we get a big turnout. And so come out there. I know this is not a sponsored one from the city, but it is one that starts at City Hall, and it is our Veterans Day Parade, and that is another fun one
Yes.
that we have a lot of people come out. I like that one better than the Christmas, only for the fact that I've done the many times Christmas parade, and sometimes it is cold. It is very cold. It's like, man, and then you got to stand around for a couple hours.
Yeah.
and it's like,
Just stand there in the cold.
Yeah.
just for that. But we have that, and you know, we're always full of different activities. We have our farmers market, annual fall festival that is at our golf course,
Okay.
and that one is a fun one. They have hay rides and stuff
Oh,
like
nice.
that. So that golf course, it's something that has been kind of updated.
Yeah.
So it's a beautiful place to go and visit.
And what day is that Fall Fest on?
The Fall Fest is October 30th. It's
Okay.
Halloween.
Oh, Halloween.
Oh, well, Halloween is
the next
31st,
Yes,
but we're
close
gonna
enough.
we're gonna celebrate it here at the city on
Yeah.
the 30th
Yeah,
of
the-
October.
I
Okay.
saw that, and I'm really glad I found out, because I think maybe I didn't get the memo last
Oh.
time, because no kids showed up, and I had all this candy, and I was like,
Oh,
what happened? And I'm like,
no.
oh, it was the wrong day.
Oh,
No, well, see, I look at it differently. You know,
But now
all the
you're gonna
kids,
eat all of it.
all the kids go out to all these activities and they get kids, and then the next day they play like, oh, I didn't know. I'm gonna go knock on doors, and guess what?
Oh.
They still get candy. So it's like you can't complain. You got
Smart.
2 days
Yeah.
of getting candy, because
Double
that's like
dipping. I like that.
my grandkids are like, you know, it was just, no, we're still going to go get candy. And I'm like, okay, see who gives you. They come back with bags of candy. And it's
Yeah.
like, man,
Everybody who
I wanted
yeah.
to give it away, because then I ate all of it.
Yeah, exactly. People who are like, oh, what do I do with all this leftover candy?
Leftover.
Hopefully people come over to my house.
Yeah.
you know. Oh, kids are smart.
Yeah,
so believe
they
me, they're going to do it both days. Even though it's like, okay, it's
Okay.
30th, but you're going to be there 30th and 31st. I know
We'll be
that.
prepared.
Yeah. So a lot of drive-throughs. I know that. What do they call it? Trick or trunk. Trick or trunk.
Yes.
Trunk or treat.
Trunk or treat.
There you
Yeah,
go.
you were close.
Yeah,
Close, yes.
It's been a long time. You know.
Close enough.
Been a long time. I have grandkids, so I don't even hang around with grandkids now. But yeah, I know that, like I say, the event on the golf course, our KPD is doing a trunk or treat. So you can go through there. I think it's from 6 to 8 or 5 to 8. You know, it's in the evening there.
Okay.
They're doing one. And we have several people doing the trunk or treat on that day.
Awesome.
So, and then we have our Christmas lighting. We light a tree at 3rd December.
Okay. December
3rd
3rd.
December.
Very
And that's a fun
exciting.
event. That's at our community center there on WSN, so it's not too far from here.
Okay.
And that's another event that I go out there, and sometimes it is.
It's
Oh.
cold.
So when I get out of my
See-
car, the first thing I say, okay, where is the hot chocolate?
Yeah. See, now I know why you moved from Chicago.
Yeah, now you know. I said, I don't need hot, cold weather. I'm tired of cold weather. I'd rather put up with the heat.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I am the same way.
Uh,
I don't like the cold.
No. And I can do the cold. It's just, you know, in Texas, I always say, you know, if you're not from Texas and you come during the summertime, bring a sweater, because it gets
Mhm.
cold when you go to the restaurants.
Oh,
or you-
yeah. Everywhere I
everybody's-
go, have to have a sweater.
And so winter's kind of the same thing. You know, if you don't spend a lot of time outside, you're going to be pretty much warm and stuff like that.
Mm.
But in those places where it snows, I mean,
Yeah.
you got to go out and you got to unbury your car. It's covered all in snow. And
Ugh,
Yeah.
So it's
no
I'd
thanks.
rather put up with the heat.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and there's some of the events that we have going on. You know, other than that, you can always go to our website, KilleenTexas.gov, and it has a lot of our events, a lot of activity.
Okay.
And I mentioned about involvement. One of the things that people can do out there if they want to be involved in the city, as council member, as mayor, we're always looking for people to join some of our committees. The cities, they do have committees like they have like beautification committee. They'll have planning and zoning committee. They have animals, animal advisory committee or senior advisory committee. And you can volunteer for that. You're a citizen of Killeen. Some don't require, but most don't require you to be a citizen. But you can just fill out an application and say, you know what, I want to be part of that.
That's awesome. Yeah.
It's crazy to think when he first got here, there was only 2 restaurants.
Yeah.
One here and then one in Temple.
Well,
and
there was
then now
9.
there's now there's like, all these committees that people can get involved with and get involved. So I know that there's probably a lot of military owned businesses out there. I know that there's, so many families that are just out there. I know that the construction is increasing and stuff.
Yeah.
And I know that this is your last term. So first I want to thank you for your service, for your 10 years of service. But secondly, now that this is your last and final year, what do you hope to see in the future? As you said earlier, we do see the plans that you have created in the future. So it's not going to see what we're not going to see what you're planning, but what can we look forward to in the future?
Well, the challenge always as leaders is trying to keep up with growth. And the way I see things, Killeen is going to continue to grow. We have a housing shortage going on right now, a rental shortage, and that just kind of tells you that a lot of people are moving, not just to Texas, but to Killeen. And so my hope is that we continue to grow in the right way. And if I see, I mentioned, what my passion was when I came in, my vision for Rancier. I would like to see that over the years kind of develop into some kind of beautiful road, some kind of cultural center there, because we have a lot of the soldiers that go out there and visit our restaurants, as I mentioned. So that's one thing that I would like to see. And, small business, I'm always supportive of small business. And my goal is, I always think that, businesses grow within. There's a lot of cities, including ourselves, that we're always trying to catch that big fish. It's like, we want to bring in a big industry here to Killeen. But if you look at some of these cities that have these big industry, there was somebody locally that started it, and it just grew big.
Right.
Michael Dell was from Austin. He went to UT, and there's Dell Computers. Steve Jobs was from the Cupertino area there, and he grew Apple.
Yeah.
So it wasn't that they brought it in. And so what my hope is that, somebody, it could be somebody from Fort Hood. It could be one of you guys, in the future. I got an idea. And then you just grow something and, and become a billionaire like them. But
that'd be awesome.
keep a headquarters here, keep it here and create those opportunities. And that's what, I hope that we do in the future, is just to bring in something and continue to support our small businesses and our military, because military, when you get out of the Army or military here, there is so much life. I say, we have, when people look at us, they look at us, and it was crazy. Many years ago, they said, do you know Killeen is a retirement community? I said, retirement? I don't see any beaches or anything around here. But I think when they look at a retirement community, we do have a big one, because a lot of people that retire military, and, if I would have stayed 20 years, I would have retired at 38 years old.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's still a lot of life left in me.
Oh, absolutely.
And so you have opportunities to do other things, get in a business or do other career moves that you want. And so I think that, that's what's going to help in the future, just letting people know that this is a great community to live in, whether you're in the military or not, we're going to welcome you with open arms and help you as much as we can. Not only to help you grow, but I think the important thing that I always take seriously is just to help the family members. That's important. If you got to create a certain lifestyle, make sure that you're taking care of all the families, providing that quality of life. There you go, quality of life that people want. And today it's not like the old days. People don't move. In the old days, the reason Chicago and New York grew so much in the early 1900s and 1800s is people would move there to get a job.
Yeah.
You know, that's where your factories were. They really have no choice. And I remember growing up, a lot of people really didn't like the traffic. They don't like all that. But they live there because that's where their job is. Today, it's not like that. People don't move to an area just because of a job. They move because they want quality of life. And I have family members. So I have my sister, she lives in Georgetown, and she gave up almost half her salary to move down here. And I remember when she moved down here, the first thing, she was all excited because she got to drive her car. Wow, I get to drive a car, because in Chicago, she lived in one of the suburbs, and it's you take the train, and then she had to take either a boat or a bus to get to the work. And so every day putting up with that, you know, it's about an hour and a half, and you don't need
stressful.
a car over there. Yeah. And so, you know, your lifestyle is different here. You get to walk, you know, enjoy things. So I think that's important. So helping improve the quality of life is very important here.
Well, that is all just, what a great topic. What a great, like, I feel like I learned so much about Killeen and about you and life in general.
All of the partnerships and programs and all the things. I mean, I can tell you've experienced a lot of life, and you've done a lot for the Fort Hood and the Killeen communities.
Well, you guys ask me all easy questions. You know, the hard ones come from second graders. When I go to school, those are tough questions.
I bet.
They say, "Mayor, how old are you?" It's like, where did you meet your wife? It's like, the toughest question is, how much do you make?
No.
Don't ask me that. Well, it's funny because that's probably the only place I like to tell people how much I make. Well, everybody knows how the mayor here makes $200 a month, and that's it. But when you tell that to second graders, I make $200, they go, wow.
You're rich.
I love this class.
You're the king.
That's it.
I am curious, is there anything notable that stands out to you from your time as the mayor, be it a partnership or someone you've met along the way?
Well, I think I've always loved challenges, and my personality, I would say that I put myself in a position, you know, I think that everybody should do this because we all have dreams. We all have things that we want. But I think because there's some type of fear that holds us back. Yeah. And so I own a business, and it's like you got into a business with no business experience, and you go out there, put yourself out there, and face all the challenges that come with that. And, you know, mayor is kind of the same thing. And I say that because of my personality, of who I am. I'm a natural introvert. And so it's like, how did you become mayor? You know, it's like, doesn't the mayor have to speak? And so I always put myself out there where I'm going to bomb. I always say, you know, I don't think I've ever done anything right the first time, the second time. It takes time. And so I always say, you know, just whatever you do, don't give up. I remember as a kid, you know, I used to love baseball, and then nobody wanted to pick me. You know, I was like, oh, and they call me Joe when I'm growing up, and they say, no, he's bad. And I stuck to it, and it wasn't overnight, but then I joined Little League and stuff. And then before you know it, a couple of years later, you know, I'm catching baseballs through a glove using in the back, you know, on my back, and hitting home runs, and then everybody wants to do it. And so I've always done that. It's just stick to it no matter what. And Mayor, I can tell you, you know, right now, towards the end of it, I really enjoy it. And I always say I enjoy it because now I know how to do it a little bit better versus coming in. If you watch some of that stuff that, you know, I came in, I was like, man, this is our mayor. And I've always tried to improve myself, but I think everybody tries to do that. I think what happens is most people just give up too soon. I took, here in Killeen, we have a couple of what they call Toastmasters. Have you ever Toastmasters? And so those are like speaking groups. A lot of different people go in there to learn how to speak, whether you're doing job interviews, they'll teach you how to speak, whether you're a school teacher, you know, we had school teacher, we have principals there. And so I went there to learn how to speak, and they make you give your first speech when you're ready for it. And it should be an easy speech because that speech is what? It's about you. Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so I had to write down everything. It's hard.
I don't like talking about myself.
Well, there you go.
It's so weird.
And see, here's how I did my speech. I wrote this down, and as I'm speaking, you know, the goal is for you not to use notes.
Right.
But as I'm speaking, I had to use notes. So I'm reading my notes, and the first thing says, "Hi, my name is Jose Segarra." Like, you really have to read that? And that's how nervous I was. And it's like, wow, I was shaking, I was sweating, and, your feet like ice on there. And it's like, you don't want to come back. And it's like, nope, I got to come back. And I got to come back. And, again, it wasn't overnight, but you just don't give up. You just keep doing it no matter what. And I learned that many years ago. I forgot, it was a comedian, and he said the same thing. He says, the hardest thing is not being on stage. The hardest thing is just climbing up those steps.
Yeah.
Because as a comedian, you get up on stage, and any comedian will tell you the first time they get up there, they bomb.
Yeah.
And so what do? They don't want to get back up there. They don't want to take those steps. He says, you got to get back up there. You got to get back up there. Keep going and going. And over time, you're going to get better at it. And so I think that, Mayor for me has done quite a bit. It's like what we're doing today. A few years ago, I was like, oh, I'm going to be nervous and stuff like that. But, you learn. So hopefully, after Mayor, I'll continue to grow in other areas, and continue to help people. And I enjoy it now, so. Now I'm prepared. I don't really have to prepare. I should prepare, but it was like, Mayor, I don't know whether somebody's going to ask me to speak or not. But when they do, like we had an event Saturday, and they said, Mayor, come on out and speak. And then one of the persons comes to me and says, Mayor, that was a good speech. I'm like, okay, I don't know what I said, but it was a good speech.
Forgot it all.
I said it all. So.
Well, that's amazing. Well, we want to say thank you so incredibly much for coming on the podcast with
pleasure.
us today.
Yes, thank you.
Come join us for the Fort Hood Spouses Club 40th Annual Holiday Bazaar at the Killeen Civic and Conference Center, Saturday, November 13th from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday, November 14th from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Admission is $8 for everyone 12 and older. This year we have over 100 vendors, food trucks, and face painting.
And don't forget photos with Santa.
Happy holidays from the Fort Hood Spouses Club, and we hope to see you there.
Wow, that was a very interesting interview.
I know.
I feel like I learn so much
Yeah.
every time we interview somebody.
I know, me too.
It's crazy. I feel so bad at because then I realize how much more I probably don't know.
Yeah, I feel like all this stuff, it's like, oh yeah, I should have known that, but then I never do. I'm like, what else is out there?
Oh, so I had no idea that mayors only get paid $200.
Yeah, here I guess they only get paid $200. That's crazy.
That was
That-
shocking.
It's
Yeah.
crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Good Samaritan.
Yeah,
all
he's really
the way
doing it
around.
just to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to help out. That's
Yeah,
nice.
that was-
I like
That
that.
was really cool.
Yeah. Speaking of really cool,
Yeah.
we had a new voice on with us today.
I know. I'm
Hey,
sure all of the
y'all.
listeners were like,
Yes.
who is
Who is
that?
that? Yes.
Well, you're about to find out.
Hey guys, yeah, I'm Captain Jessica Lopez. I don't know, I just decided to join the podcast this week, and
I pulled her on.
We
Our
kidnapped
11
her.
Yes, our 11 signal people were out this week, so I just found a random person.
Yeah,
Just
but it's okay.
kidding.
No, honestly, it was fun. It was great talking to the mayor.
Yeah.
He's a great gentleman.
Is this your first time
This
on a podcast?
This is my first time.
I would never have
Hopefully-
guessed.
Hopefully not the last.
Yes.
Yeah,
We'll
you
see
are
if
a
I come back.
supernatural.
Oh, thanks. But yeah, we'll see
Yeah.
how it goes. Maybe next week when we talk about Halloween.
Yeah.
Yes.
Speaking of supernatural,
Yeah.
one of my better puns.
Yes. So Halloween is coming up. Make sure that you guys who are going out and trick or treating and going to events, stay safe. All the good things.
Check,
Be smart.
Check y'all's candies.
Yes. Check
Oh,
candy.
yeah.
You never
Candy.
know.
COVID.
Yes. COVID.
Yes.
Make sure you're,
Safe.
being safe, wearing masks when you feel it's appropriate.
Mhm. And if you're out at night, make sure to wear something reflective.
Yes.
People don't like to slow down.
No, they do
At
not.
least in my neighborhood.
Stay
they
on
seem to
sidewalks.
have
Yes.
a steel boot on there. So just be
Yes.
careful.
Be aware of your surroundings at all times.
Yes.
Don't leave your group of people that you're with.
Yes.
All the good stuff.
Safety in numbers.
Yes.
But always have fun.
Always.
Yes.
Yes.
Of
It's
course.
the season to have fun.
Yeah.
You
You work
scare other
hard.
people.
Yes. And you party harder.
Yeah.
That's one of my mottos.
Nice.
So, Yes, we are very happy to have you on today. So
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, well, thank you both for being here today. And thanks again to the mayor for coming on with us.
Yes.
And that's it. We will talk to you guys next week.
This podcast is a U.S. Army Garrison Fort Hood and Fort Hood Public Affairs production. The show's theme music is written and produced by Delicious Allstars. All our music is obtained through Filter by Song Trader. Have a question or want to share some insights with us? Email us at forthoodpao@gmail.com. You can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at USAG Fort Hood. And as always, be sure to leave a review and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts.